In Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, the Deo and Merid are genies of the earth and water planes respectively. The Deo are described as generally evil beings hewn out of rock and earth that delighted in the enslavement of others, as well as being lovers of well-made things both physical and intrinsic. They were known to be cruel to mortals, but be good friends with the Afridi of the fire plane, while hating the Jinni of air and Merid of water. The Merid of the water plane were described as vain, selfish creatures who thought themselves more powerful than any others. They had a general disdain for all mortals, but were revered as the most powerful of all genies by the Zakaran people. However, their selfishness and extreme individualism prevented them from creating a unified empire through which they might have taken control of the other elemental planes. The Deo has an AC of 18 and 187 hit points. They have good stats, as well as saving throws in Int, Wisdom, and Charisma, making them harder to hit for spellcasters. They're immune to being petrified and can move, burrow, or fly 30 feet per turn. Like other genies, death results in their body vanishing to reform in the plane of Earth. They're innate spellcasters with a spell save of 14 and a +6 to hit. They can cast Detect Magic, Detect Good and Evil, and Stone Shape at will, as well as Pass Wall, Move Earth, and Tongues 3 times per day each. They can cast Conjure Earth Elemental, Gaseous Form, Invisibility, Phantasmal Killer, Plane Shift, and Wall of Stone once per day each. They have advantage on strength and dex saves against prone effects, and can do a multi-attack with their fists or their maul, both of which have a +10 to hit, with the fists dealing 2d8 +6 damage per hit, a range of 8 to 22, and the maul dealing 4d6 +6 per hit, a range of 10 to 30. The maul also has a chance to knock a player prone. The Merid has an AC of 17 and 229 hit points. They can walk 30 feet, fly 60, and swim 90. They also have great stats and high saves in Dexterity, Wisdom, and Charisma. They're resistant to acid, cold, and lightning damage, and can breathe both air and water. They are innate spellcasters with a spell save of 16 and a +8 to hit. They can cast Create or Destroy Water, Detect Good and Evil, Detect Magic, Fog Cloud, and Purify Water and Drink at will, and can cast Tongues, Water Breathing, and Water Walk 3 times per day. They can also cast Conjure Water Elemental, Control Water, Gaseous Form, Invisibility, and Plane Shift once per day. They can make 2 attacks with their Trident, which has a +10 to hit and deals 2d8 +6 damage when wielded in both hands, and they can also choose to use their Water Jet ability instead, in which they choose a single 5-foot wide line 60 feet long. Anyone in that line must succeed on a DC 16 dex save, or else take 66 bludgeoning damage and be pushed 20 feet away and knocked prone. In combat, the Deo and Merid have similar strategies. For both, I would have them summon an elemental to aid them in combat, targeting the ranged players that might give them the most difficulty. I would then use other concentration spells to let that elemental go into a rage far away from the monster, targeting the ranged players. With the Deo, I would use the Phantasmal Killer spell on the tankiest player, trying to whittle their health down via failed wisdom saves while pummeling them and any other melee players with the Maul, as it deals the most damage and can knock players down. I would then use Invisibility or Wall of Stone as needed to reposition or cut players off from one another, then take them down one by one. With the Merid, I would always have them fighting in water, as out of water their abilities are basically useless, and their speed is reduced to 60 while flying instead of 90 while in water. Similar to the Deo, I would summon the Water Elemental to harry the ranged players, but then I would cast Control Water, creating a whirlpool around the most physically weak players. Hopefully this will trap them in a damage-dealing vortex with an enraged Water Elemental, leaving the Merid to deal with melee players via their Trident. I would only use the Water Jet if players have bunched up in a line, or if the vortex has lined them up, as using this attack against a single target is a bit of a waste of an action, unless of course the Merid needs to distance themselves from a particularly strong melee player. For both creatures, I would use Plane Shift to get away from the players if it looks like they're going to lose. In Myth, the Deo and Merid have no mythological source other than the general genie lore. As summarized in this beautiful post by Pendip, Keith Aman offers a possible origin for both genies. The original editions of D&D only included the Afridi and Genie, based on the Islamic Ifrit and Jinn, but somewhere along the line, the writers of D&D decided that if there were genies for fire and air, there should also be genies for water and earth. It's possible that the names Deo and Merid come from Daoism, which is a Chinese belief system that venerates creation, skilled artisans, and the Queen Mother of the West, a mountain spirit, as well as Merid having Latin roots, with the syllable mar meaning sea, and Merid in Arabic meaning defiant or rebellious. There's nothing to compare as there are no concrete myths directly relating to the Deo or the Merid, but the creation process proposed by Keith Aman's book and interviews with Gary Gygax is very interesting, as they decided to provide balance to the genie race of the elemental planes by adding 2 that were wholly unique. If you enjoyed that video, consider giving it a like and giving me a follow. And for more of my videos, you can find me on Twitch at Moglaroo, YouTube at Moglaroo Streams, and TikTok at Moglaroo Streams as well.